All research that tries to establish a relationship between race or ethnicity and intelligence is prohibited. Research between the relationship of race and intelligence causes discrimination, promotes stereotyping, and gives generalized standards. Research into our race and ethnicity differences also has the potential to generate great controversy. In the past, concepts drawn from genetics have been used, both by genetics and by individuals outside the field, to justify and perpetuate racial and ethnic discrimination. The belief that racial and ethnic groups have substantial, divided biological differences, and that these differences are important has contributed to so many of the great barbarity of the 20th century, and continues to shape personal interactions and social institutions. I will start off with the positive side of establishing a relationship between race or ethnicity and intelligence. First, genetic research has the potential, by the complex origins of traits and the close biological similarities between human groups, to help dismiss these stereotypes. Second, the aim of researching about the average IQ levels of different races is to understand deeply the race studied and to debate in the difference of race using facts and not ideologies from dissenters. And lastly, it is now recognized that cultural effects are more powerful than thought. Moving on to this negative side of establishing a relationship between ethnicity and intelligence. Investigations that fail to recognize and acknowledge the full range of mechanisms through which designations of race, ethnicity, and ancestry can correlate with personal traits and health outcomes threaten to reinforce widely held stereotypes. Socially speaking, studying about a race, specifically to determine their level of intelligence, form a lack of difference with other dominant races. Africans are already socially discriminated due to their lack of education in their country. Thus, leads people to generalize people of the same color. And lastly, if science is able to prove a difference in IQ, people can now also be able to generalize the fact stated that some races are dominant over the others rather than being able to help and understand them. According to the Wikipedia, in the late 19th and early 20th century, group differences in intelligence were assumed to be due to race, and apart from intelligence tests, research relied on measurements such as brain size or reaction times. In the mid-1960s, physicist William Shockley sparked controversy by claiming that there might be genetic reasons that black people in the United States tended to score lower on IQ tests than white people. In 1969, the educational psychologist Arthur Jensen published a long article with the suggestion that compensatory education had failed to the date because of genetic group differences. When the use of racial or ethnic categories in research is deemed unnecessary, researchers can avoid overgeneralization by using labels that are specific as possible. Use of such broad labels without careful definitions can impair specific understanding and imply that distinctions between socially defined populations are genetically well established. Therefore, I strongly agree that all research that tries to establish a relationship between race or ethnicity and intelligence should be prohibited, because it creates stereotyping, discrimination, and standard generalization.